Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. In today's video, we're gonna finally start diving into the metal work on my wife's 69 Chevelle. It's been quite a while since I've posted anything on this car, but it's also been a wild year. There's been a lot of stuff pulling me away from my regular YouTube responsibilities, which a lot of you know that already. The first and foremost thing being that my buddy Joe and I have actually started our own restorations shop. So I'm kind of splitting my time between doing client work and YouTube work, but stuff is slowly starting to fall into place once again. So I'm getting back into the swing of things with the, stuff that I've been wanting to do with the channel. So anyway, this video I started shooting last May. So first things first, I'm going to show you guys the whole process behind getting the car blasted and, getting everything, all cleaned up and prepped for everything that we're going to be doing in this video. And that's replacing all the floor pans and kind of getting a game plan as far as, how to proceed with all of the other repairs. But before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Original Parts Group for all of their support with this build. They offer pretty much anything and everything that you need to restore a whole bunch of classic GM cars and also modify performance and all that good stuff. So definitely check out their link down in the description box below to see their whole product catalog. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now that the body is nice and clean, Joe and I are going to spray everything down in Ospo. This is some pretty cool stuff. It's a phosphoric acid solution that's non-flammable and environmentally safe. And when you apply it to a metal surface like this, or excuse me, a bare metal surface, it actually seals out moisture to prevent the bare metal from rusting. You can also apply this stuff directly to a rusted surface. Rust is iron oxide, and the chemical reaction when mixing with this creates iron phosphate, which is a protectant. So it's a pretty important step in the whole pre-painting process. So our main task right now is to go ahead and cut out all of the rot in the floor pans and replace what needs to be replaced. But we're gonna make sure to take a little bit of extra special care so we're not cutting out more than we need to and everything goes back together to where it doesn't look like you did a whole bunch of patches. So let me give you guys a quick peek. So right now, Joe is working on
spot weld broke free.
Yes, cutting out all of the spot welds so when the floor pans get cut out, they can just drop free and the factory bracing can remain in place. There's a lot of little pinholes and stuff in the front in particular, so you can order floor pans in all sorts of different sizes. You can even order like a complete floor for one of these cars, but to make things a little bit easier, I ended up just getting these two sections. So it actually comes up over the transmission tunnel a little bit and it goes up the firewall a little bit, but we don't need to use that much. But this is going to give us the material that we need to just take little pieces out here and there and work with that. This car is actually in pretty remarkable shape considering its age and where it was sitting. It was been sitting outside for probably the last 15-20 years or so, and you can tell the rot that it does have is from bad weather seals and stuff. You know, with rain and storms over the years, water leaks in and it just sits in particular areas, so you get all of these little pinholes which lead to bigger holes, and then, you know, so on and so forth. There's another example over there about you know, some of the pinholes that have to be taken out. So thankfully, we don't have to go super hard into metal repair underneath, which is a nice thing because the hardest area of this car is going to basically be rebuilding the back sections, because they don't make you know, a lot of, there's this hard to find certain metal pieces for sedans. So we're going to have to take some sedan pieces and some coupe pieces and just kind of go from there. But it's going to be interesting to say the least. I'll tell you guys what too, if you're going to be doing a restoration to this degree, having a rotisserie is an invaluable resource. You can pick these up for around $1,000, maybe $1,100, $1,200, somewhere around there. There are fancier ones as well, but we really like this one because it has the hydraulic rams and it just makes things a lot easier to adjust and pitch and all that good stuff. So right now, Joe is checking to make sure the spot welds are broken free, so we can start taking the plasma cutter and cutting out all that rot. That's fun. Now we're just trimming up this new floor pan to fit the hole that we cut. So at this point, Joe is tracing out the underside. That way we can cut around the edges here and actually have the edges of the new one butt up to the original floor pan. Then we can redo the spot welds and all that kind of stuff. That way there aren't any panels overlapping each other and it's going to be a lot cleaner of a look. So what exactly are those again?
They're clamps to basically hold everything right there tight, as long as you get it tight enough to hold it. Keeps the gap true, so while we're trimming on that other side to get that to line up, it'll all kind of fall right together like it should.
The passenger side pan is looking pretty good so far. I've got everything trimmed where it needed to be trimmed. Most of the bad rust is in this area and it just comes up to a little bit right there. So after cutting down a good bit of the pan, we're left with this. This is really all we need to replace, so there's no sense in replacing more than we have to. The only other little spot that I'm gonna cut out next is that small area right there. Again, instead of replacing all the way up and over, being that everything is in good shape, we're just gonna do a little bit of a patch right there using the stamped pan, so it's gonna make things a little easier. That'll work right there. Right now, Joe's working on cleaning up the welds on the driver's side pan. I've got the passenger one set in place with all of the clamps to line up all the edges. Now I'm going to start tacking it in. So right now we've got most everything welded in place in the front. Still have to do a little bit more work on the passenger side section, but we're gonna go ahead and start tracing out the sections underneath the rear seat that need to be cut out and to see what we gotta do to make the new sections. This is one of the parts that I was not able to order from OPGI just because of back orders and availability at the time that I was trying to get everything ordered. The more we look at this pan, this is the section for underneath the rear seat. We've noticed a whole lot of differences, and I'm pretty sure I ordered this for a Chevelle sedan, but I'm thinking it might be for maybe a different A-body, I don't know, maybe a Skylark or something, because there's actually a lot of differences in this pan. We weren't planning on replacing the whole thing anyway, just because most of the original sheet metal is good. I will be able to section this out to take the pieces that we need, but there are a lot of differences. For example, you've got some extra raised portions that are in different spots. The drain plugs are in different spots. Even in the middle where the tunnel is and stuff, you've got this big old raise where the original pan in this car is mostly flat, so it would be kind of difficult to get this one put in, and whether it would even fit with the seat and stuff is a whole different question entirely, but it's just something to be aware of. There can be variances in aftermarket stamped sheet metal parts, and it is very important to double and triple check what you're ordering it for to make sure all the dimensions and stuff are the same, but thankfully we'll be able to make this work.
So we're gonna play opposite day.
Opposite day?
Yep. Because of that curve. Because that curve, we can't put it on that side.
No.
So,
it's way different.
flatten this out by the time we template it out, or use it as a template. I'll have enough material to put the curve back in.
We've got one more little small spot right there that needs to be rounded over. So to make things easier, we're gonna hit it with a torch, get it nice and warm so it'll lay down exactly where we want it. pretty much it as far as the floor pan replacement. Joe and I are just working on double checking, make sure we didn't miss anything, cleaning up the welds, getting everything all nice and smooth, and then we'll get it all in etch and primer so we don't have to worry about anything flash rusting to the point we're able to actually do some more finishing work with the floor pan. Next big task is going to be working on the back side of the car, but as far as long-term goals with the interior and finishing all of this stuff, we'll end up bed lining and sound deadening the whole bottom side of the car, inside and outside. That way there'll be really good rust protection, rock protection. Anything gets kicked up from a tire, it'll just bounce up against that undercoating, and it'll help keep the interior quieter and cooler with resisting heat and road noise and all that stuff. So it's going to be really nice. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave a like down below because it really helps the video a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so because there's obviously a whole lot more content where that came from. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.